I wanted just to give a few pointers on virtualization. I use VirtualBox and VMware. And the reason I use both is because each one has its own strengths and weaknesses. I really won't go into the differences between the two, but one thing that I will say is when you are setting up your virtual machines, the whole point, in my opinion, of using a virtual machine is so you can screw it up. To be a hacker at its core is about breaking something and fixing it and then breaking it again. It is the same thing that makes a person a good auditor, and that is the inquisitive nature, asking, why does this do this? Or how does it do this? So it's beyond the rote level of learning. And in these videos, along with all of the other videos on YouTube, keep in mind that these videos, all of these videos, will show you things at a rote level, which means you're going to have to take these things and you're going to have to apply them, and there is not a one-size-fits-all template for hacking. These script kiddies can use the tools and techniques, but in many cases they really do not know why they are using them. And if something out of the norm happens, they will be unable to fix that problem. Keep in mind, you're going to get into some situations that you're not going to be able to fix in some cases. Install your basic system, configure it the way that you want it configured, and make clones of the system, and use the clones as your troubleshooting and experimenting and practicing in the virtual lab. So if you get to a point where you have totally screwed it up and you have no idea how you're going to fix it, try to fix it. Spend the time in learning how not to do whatever it was that you did. And the best way to do that is delete the cloned machine, make another clone from the original, and start again. I have my VirtualBox manager here, and this is on top of the Ubuntu desktop. It's not part of it, I just have it sitting on top for illustration purposes. But you can see that I have Windows, Kali, and Ubuntu virtual machines. Then I have clones of each one of those. And then I have a Windows server, and I have pfSense, which is for firewall. I just wanted to point out that this will save you some time and energy if you just clone your system or your machine when you get it to the point where you want it, and then begin working in it. So today what we're going to do is we're going to install an Apache Web Server. I've already opened this device. You can see that my clone is running, and this clone is the one that we see here on my desktop. So we're going to go ahead and just open a terminal, and the first thing that we want to do is we want to always update so that we're starting with the latest and greatest information and then moving forward. So we're going to start with a sudo apt-get, and for this we're just going to type in update. This command is going to update everything that we need, and then we can start going forward from there. So once we have that, the next thing that we want to do is we want to install Apache 2. Now this is a simple command. If you go back to sudo apt-get install and then Apache 2. So when we enter that, it's going to go through, and I already have it installed. So you can see that there were none installed because I already have it on my machine, but you would actually have it here in the text showing that it was installed. The first thing that we really want to do, we'll clear the screen here, and we're going to our web browser and we're going to see if the Apache started. And what we're expecting to see is the Apache landing page. So once this opens up, we can go into our local host, hit enter, and we can see that here is the Apache 2 Ubuntu default page. And also it gives the installation of the configuration files here. And this is actually your index page. Now another way that we can check this is if we go back into terminal and we do ifconfig, we can see that we have a local loopback LO and its address is 127.0.0.1. Let's plug that in and see if that works. 127.0.0.1, return, and it's the same page. So localhost and loopback going to get you to the default page. And then one more thing that we'll look at is we also have an Ethernet address, 192.168.1.183. So the browser should point at that as well. So I'll start typing it in, and I've already put it in before, so it's saving that in the browser. I'll hit return, and once again it takes you to the default page. So that's 3 different ways that we can see if Apache 2 was in fact installed. Now something else that we can do, I'll clear the screen and we're going to run a tool that is called Netstat, and we're going to use a TAC A with our Netstat, and we're going to pipe that to more, which means I want to be able to control how much information I'm looking at as opposed to all of these lines of information running by so fast I can't see them. I'll hit enter and you can see that we have the more down here. We are in a virtual box, and that virtual box has TCP, so that is up and it is listening. We also have SSH and it is listening. If we would like to see what ports those are, I'll just select Q to quit that. I'm going to bring up that same command, but I'm going to put an N right beside the A. So this is for number. This is going to give us the numbers now. So we see that 127.0.1.1 on port 53 is listening. Port 80 is listening. These are both TCP and these are TCP IPv6, and then port 22 as well. So those are 2 different ways that we can take a look and see if the server is in fact listening and what ports it is listening on. I'll clear that. And one other set of commands is the start and stop that I would like to show you. So we've already launched the Apache Web Server. Now I would just like to stop it. So in order to do that, we're going to do a sudo etc/init.d/Apache 2 stop. And it's going to run through the command, and you can see that it says right here OK, and so it has stopped the web server. We want to bring that web server back up. We can bring that back up just by typing in start, and it's going to go through, run the command, and you can see it is OK. It has started back up. It is back in operation. There's one other thing that I'll point out here is you can do a restart. I won't enter that, but you could use a restart if you have done some things on the web server. Maybe you just want to restart it now, or maybe it requires a restart. for certain changes to take effect, you can certainly use that command as well. So I'll clear the screen. And what we'll do now is we'll go in and we will actually change the web page that we looked at. We're going to change directory. We're going to move over into the var /www/HTML, and we're going to do an ls to see what's there. So this is where the files are going to live. So as you create more and more web pages on your web server, you're going to have the different pages here, and we can see that the index.html page lives here. And so that's the one that we saw when we first opened up our web browser. And so we're going to do some changes to that. I'll go ahead and bring up the web browser just so we have it. And I'll go ahead and go back to that address so we can kind of see what information is there. Move this down a little bit to have a little more room. And from here, we want to do an edit of the page. And for this example, we're going to use Nano, which I find is fairly easy to use. You can use VI if you like. Some people use Notepad++ or what have you, but I like this, and so I'll use Nano, and we're going to do that on the index.html. So we've opened up the page, and we can see that it begins up here with a document type HTML, and it goes on down, and I'm just using the mouse wheel right now just to scroll down. You can use the arrows if you would like, since you're in Nano. There's no restriction on moving around. If we go down a little bit further, we're going to see where the style and the head and all of those things that make up the page come in here. And we go into the body of the document. This is the main body. And so we can see that this is the Apache 2 Ubuntu default page. This is what we're looking at right here. So I'm just going to make a real quick change, and to do that I'm just going to use the arrow key and go right over to there, and I'm just going to put in Warren's Apache Ubuntu default page. Okay, just something to kind of show that we have edited something in here. Now to get out of here, you can see right here that you've got the Control X. We're going to use that. Are you sure about that? Do you want to save those changes? Yes, I do. And it says, okay, are you wanting to save those to this, just like we've talked about in the previous videos? And I'll say yes, and out I go. Now, if I come back now to the browser and I just do a quick refresh, we can see that it has amended and put Warren's Apache 2 on there. And so that's the way that you're going to change your web page. Now, if you're familiar with HTML and using HTML and cascading style sheets, CSS, and things like that, this is really going to be easy for you, because you can be as advanced as you would like, as complex as you would like. You can have a website that is huge with files and videos and things like that, just like warrenoffer.com, or you can have something just simple that you can make public and share as a local network web server. If you wanted to share files with your family, videos or things like that, or you just wanted a centralized area, you could certainly set it up like that, and you could put videos or whatever you wanted on here, and you could share documents back and forth. You could also make this forward facing as well. There are a few other security concerns that you would need to address, but you could certainly start hosting your own website. Now, one thing that we have not done is secured the domain name. So right now we're just operating off of what the system has assigned us. Domain name and things like that is a little beyond the scope of this video. We have set up the Apache server. We've tested it. We've even updated our landing page, our index page, and that's the way that you do it in Ubuntu.